All right, so we are going to move back into our storytelling segments here. I want to again thanks everybody for playing and thanks for networking and participating during the lunch break. That was a really great time. Now, as I mentioned, we'll be moving back into our storytelling segments. So I am going to introduce our next storyteller, Scott Houston. Scott is an elected member of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. He also serves on the Board of Trustees of the Southern California Water Coalition and the Consumer Affairs Advisory Commission of the County of Los Angeles. Director Houston frequently speaks about the challenges facing our global water supplies and has authored articles on topics including leadership in California water governance, water safety in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and the increased public acceptance of recycled water to meet our supply needs. Director Houston's professional background includes management experience in communications and manufacturing. So, hello, thank you so much for being with us today.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Katie. And thank you to the Data Collaborative for having me. And I think, first of all, by the way, this has just been a wonderful summit. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been watching this whole time, and I'm getting a lot out of it myself personally, and I'm really honored to speak here today. One of the things I just wanted to say is, in my role as an elected board member, it is an honor to serve, and it's really important for people like myself to be able to represent our communities we serve and to represent, have a place at the decision-making table. And I don't take it lightly. And actually, ironically, one of the things that was mentioned, I did recently write an article about that. I think it's so important for those of us who go into public service, especially in water, to really do it for the right reasons. And so I hope a couple examples I'm going to share with you kind of give you a background of thoughts on my process. But, most of you know West Basin Municipal Water District, west side of Los Angeles County, one of the larger members of Metropolitan, and we serve about 17 cities, almost 1 million residents. But one of the things I've learned, I've been on the board for about 6.5, going on 7 years, is that I believe collaboration is key, both between the staff perspective. We each, of course, have our different roles in our organizations, and we obviously have to work together to make things happen, but there is give and take. And I think there's a lot to be said for being respectful on both sides in order to ultimately reach our goal of serving our constituents and serving our customers. So ironically enough, and I've been trying to push this along in the last few years at our agency, is when we really have to step back and look at the data and the analysis and see how some of our programs are working and see how we can modify them, change them, maybe even end some of them if that's what it takes. Because at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is we have good return on investment for the programs that we're implementing, as well as our staff's time and understanding that, how much capacity we have. So a couple of things I just want to touch on. Obviously, we're back in this major drought. Grass replacement rebates are one of our biggest programs that any of us can continue to push out to our residents, especially here in Southern California. And one of the things that I had always asked staff, because they give us an update every month on these things, but give us the metrics, give us the numbers. How many people are taking advantage of the program per month? And then we look at it in the last handful of months, and we look at it annually. Because one of the things you want to see is, where are people participating? Where are they coming from? We have a very diverse district. Yes, there's a large chunk that is middle to higher income, but we have a number of areas that are lower income or moderate. And we have to make sure we're being equitable in the rollout of such a program. But also, if areas are not utilizing it, how come they're not utilizing it? What can we do better in that? If it's the outreach component, or, even now we're reevaluating, are there other incentives or something we could do to help those residents that might want to participate, but they have some sort of a barrier. And one of the great things I do want to share was this month, it's August, so we just closed out our fiscal year 2020 to 2021, and we got a report from our staff that, in the fiscal year last year, we had applications to remove over 154,000 square feet of grass in the West Basin service area, which to me, that is unbelievable. That is phenomenal. But at the same time, how do we articulate that back to the public to say, look at how good a job you, the public, did working with your regional water district But what does that mean? Because it's really hard to visualize. So actually we're working on that now. I mean, how many football fields is that? How many, whatever you want to compare it to, give them a comparison so we can really toot our horn as to, this is not how great the water district was, but this is how great the public has been with us. Rain barrels are also an extremely popular program at West Basin. So basically we usually give away about 2,000 rain barrels per winter season. And I'm just going to tell you, I mean, a lot probably know, but our residents love the rain barrels and they love showing them off. They love getting them. What we heard about maybe 5 or so years ago, people would get their rain barrels, they'll paint them. So sometimes you get the pictures where they're installed and they painted them, whether it's, paint it to look like their landscape or they did something creative. So it turned out one of the things we did was we actually give them instructions on how to prime and paint your rain barrel. Because one of the other things we do too is sometimes we have high school kids and they'll paint them and they'll have a display rain barrel and people want to take that one home. And so we're like, well, we can't give this one away, but you could do this yourself. And one of the other things was really great and kind of going on the storytelling theme is, I think it's about 3 years ago, but we do have to get these pictures of the rain barrels having been installed. And it's February, so it's Valentine's Day. I think we use something along the lines of show us your rain barrel love. And we used a hashtag and we got all these great photos and it drummed up a lot of, support in the community for that day. And it just, again, people are proud of their rain barrels, they're proud of saving water, but it also puts that in the front and center for those residents as well as their friends and their neighbors. Just two other quick examples. And again, this goes back to, I believe, the collaboration between the board members and our staff is so important to continue the innovation. So, one of the programs we have at West Basin is a reusable water bottle filling station program. And the cool thing about this, it actually came from a city within our service area, actually one of the cities I serve, City of Malibu. And they approached us and they were going to take out a couple of drinking fountains in their city hall and replace them with ones that had a reusable water bottle filling component. And so it's kind of a one-off and our board looked at it and we did provide some funding, but it turns out it opened a conversation that, this is actually a really good idea. Why can't we have a program for all the divisions, the 5 divisions of the service area? So we did. Our staff worked with the board. We created this program. It's a grant program. I think the first year or two, we would do, let's say, up to $1,000, toward a drinking fountain installation. And most of those were usually indoors. But then we turned around and you see where the give and take is and who's taking advantage of this. And it is with our cities, our school districts, they're all public agencies that we work with on this program. Well, it turns out we could modify it. And so to this day, we still have this program in place. And now, of course, people are putting in the outdoor facilities as well. But what it took was, you hear a need, and our agency acted on the need from our residents. And one of the things we do also with this is we put signage up that says in partnership with the water district, as well as we'll do it like some publicity. We'll do a photo op with the city council members, school board members, the water board member, because again, we want to showcase that great partnership and how we're all working together. And one last thing, I think this one's a good one too, because I am very, very respectful, of course, of agencies' budgets, resources, and staff. And we all, at the end of the day, have to realize if a program's not working, then we need to either look at how to adjust it or potentially end it. And I don't remember every detail, but it was probably 5 or so years ago, maybe 6 years ago. We had some sort of program with one of the home improvement stores. People could go buy their plants there or something like that. I don't remember, again, everything, but what I do remember is being in the committee, and we get the data and the reports, and you kind of get an idea of how much time is being put into this program, and yet it's not really yielding a lot of fruit, not a lot of participation. And so, there came a point where we just basically made the decision and told our staff, you know what, let's cut our losses on this one and focus on other things that have more value. And so I guess what I want to get down to is, we all know this, it's a cooperative effort between the board members and staff and everyone being open-minded, being flexible, but also we get into that role of it's always been done this way. Or let's just suppose, we want to please the board, we want to make them happy, we don't want to suggest something that's going to upset them or something like that. But at the end of the day, we have to have honesty with what we're doing and just make sure that, that we're being good stewards with our resources and our staff's time. And so I just think that the data does drive this. Collaboration is key. And as you see, there's a lot of different innovative things that we can do that are benefiting our constituents. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate the time today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here and sharing that. I think it's such an important reminder to all of us that we need to be willing to pivot, especially when we have data that tells us we need to pivot. So sometimes it's hard to do when something's your idea or you feel strongly about it, but we all have to have that flexibility. So thank you for that reminder.
Very much. Thank you.
All right.